But a proposal is not like that. A proposal is kind of soul destroying. Unless, of course, you get it, in which case it's wonderful because you've got all this money.
If you want to have a big group, then you need to write many proposals, and you have to be also successful in getting these proposals.
And if you're lucky, you'll get 1 in 2. And nowadays, perhaps 1 in 3 or 4.
None of this matters unless you can actually convince people that this is important and it's right. And so communication is the second key skill.
To get money for your scientific work, you make research proposals. For example, the funds for, say, 10 scientists to work with you for perhaps 3 years. But it takes real people skills to get such a group to cooperate creatively, especially because all know there's a strong chance it might be rejected.
One thing you don't have to worry about until you're a professor is getting money for your projects. When you're a PhD student, this isn't a worry, you just let your supervisor take care of it. But when you are yourself a professor, you've got to worry about sending off grant proposals to get money for projects you want to do.
If I were to weigh up the pros and cons of my job, I would say that the hardest part, or the most difficult part, is having to continually look for support, financial support.
Most of the grants which run my group are actually either brought in by myself or at least with a strong interaction with, let's say, my group leaders who apply for the money. And bringing in grants and successfully bringing in money to support the group and the activities at the Institute is probably the most dominant factor in our everyday work and life.
If you want to have a big group, then you need to write many proposals, and you have to be also successful in getting these proposals. So this year, for example, until the first 4 months I have submitted 8 proposals. Last year I haven't submitted so many, but it depends really.
And so how long will it take?
It depends on the proposal. There's some proposals are 2 pages, others are 100 pages. And the average European project takes about, I would say, 6 to 9 months preparation time.
This is a grant proposal.
Yes, that is a grant proposal for a European project. It's about giving training to young researchers, essentially PhD students.
And so how long will it take to put this together?
6 months can be a short time. If you're the coordinator of or the scientist in charge or the coordinator of a project, it's a responsibility, because it's not only you, it's all the whole group who is depending on the financing.
Well, right now I'm thinking about my proposals. Okay, what should I submit next, and when I can expect the next deadline?
You have to apply make many proposals to get funding, and if you're lucky, you'll get 1 in 2. And nowadays, perhaps 1 in 3 or 4.
I think writing proposals is one of the most difficult things I'm encountering now, because it's at the start of my career. It's something I'm having to do, and you have to convince something that something is critically important, but no one else is doing it. You also have to convince them that there's a very clear pathway to achieving what to achieve, even though it wouldn't be research if that was really the case. You have to try and do all these different things, and I mean it's very hard because obviously money is money, and governments don't like to spend much of it.
Say if you have a really good idea, that you've been passionate about something, but the grant hasn't come through.
Yeah. Yes, that's soul destroying, because you put a lot of effort into writing a convincing argument, and then the panel, the referees, are not convinced. And you can get quite bitter about what the referees say.
Depends a lot on the referee process. Some people might say, okay, we like very much what you do, what you want to do, or other people might say, oh no, this is a bit too bold, so you cannot really do it. Or other people, they say, yes, I like it because it's bold. As in all referees process, it depends a lot on who is reading your project.
So if you want it and you think it's important, you push it forward, you move everything. If not, well, you can survive without, okay.
When you're working on a paper, you know that eventually it's going to enter the record and you've achieved something, you've contributed something to human knowledge, but a proposal is not like that. A proposal is kind of soul destroying. Unless of course you get it, in which case it's wonderful because you've got all this money.
What do you do if you're working on a project and it isn't given a grant?
Then you find another grant.
We would certainly try to reshape the project, maybe generate additional ideas. You also get some comments from the reviewers. So in many cases, we really try to restart the activity again, maybe with a different focus, maybe with different partners. But some other ideas we just drop. Maybe we notice ourselves that these were not good ideas, maybe just generated to bring in more money. And it's always an interesting task to find the right balance between just producing ideas in order to bring in money to sustain the group, or producing really great ideas from which you think we really want to put in some effort to realize these projects.
The core of it, the mechanics are very technical, but that none of that is any good unless you have the creativity to come up with a new idea. So it's not just a case of coming in and working through a particular sequence of technical steps. You need to come and have the idea to start with, something new. And the other part of it is that none of this matters unless you can actually convince people that this is important and it's right. And so communication is the second key skill.